Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Ron DeSantis makes mincemeat out of this ridiculous protester who accomplished nothing and really just showed why Republicans aren't standing for the nonsense any longer. Let's dive in.
Guy's incredible. Blaze is going to do a great job. I'll tell you, it's gone so quick we were 300,000 in the hole in 2018 in terms of voter registration. Now we're like 1.3 million more Republicans than Democrats. I knew we were beating them, but I didn't realize we were beating them that bad. I may need to task Joseph Ladapo, our Surgeon General, for determining whether there's still signs of life in the Democratic Party in here. Of course, when you stand for coddling criminals, idealizing illegal aliens, and weaponizing woke ideology, you deserve to lose, and you are losing in this state. And they now have the perfect candidate running for mayor of New York City. That is what the Democratic Party stands for today, and we should make sure that they own that, not just in Florida, but all around the country. And the thing about it is, leftism is the problem with all these jurisdictions that have collapsed. San Francisco, Chicago, New York, California, you name it. It's the leftism that fails. And so the free state of Florida, one of the reasons why we are the free state of Florida is because we stop the left in its tracks. Buddy, you got to do a better job than that if you're going to come here and interrupt. That was weak. That was pathetic. I've had Antifa charge me on live TV. That was a weak performance. So you have the left, which is really, I think, the source of the political ills that you see around the country. Our job in Florida is to stop it in its tracks. In fact, as a leader, there's a lot of things I got to do as governor, and we see different things that happen. Obviously, we had major hurricanes last year. We have sometimes disorder. There's a lot of things you have to do. But at this point in time, any leader worth their salt must protect the people they represent from the pathologies of the political left. When they come for our kids, we stop them. When they demand money for their schemes, we defund them. When leftist politicians flout the law, we remove them from their posts. I don't know what you think you're accomplishing. You're making an ass of yourself. So I will say again, when the left comes for our kids, we stop them. When the left demands money for their various schemes, we defund them. And when leftist politicians flout the law, we remove them from their posts. Now, our policy is very simple when it comes to the left. We win and they lose. And win we have. We beat the left on COVID. If it were up to them, you would have been locked down, force jabbed, and force masked for months and years on end. We stood up, and many times all alone, and took the arrows, and we were right to do it, and the state is better off because we stood up and we did it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love this current timeline. We currently live in an era where Republicans are no longer going to be the whipping boys of the mainstream media. We're no longer allowing ourselves to go on these late night shows and get absolutely thrashed around, and now they're realizing that they've alienated their products so bad that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert has been canceled. They are losing on every single major front, and their only option is to double down, triple, and quadruple down for that matter. And now you've got guys like Mandami running around. He's probably going to win the mayorship of New York City, and I think they deserve it. I honestly think they do. I don't wish socialism upon anyone, especially communists. The people who will fare the worst under the communist regime are, well, the communists themselves. But ultimately, Ron DeSantis is pointing out something that the rest of America hasn't really figured out yet. Well, part of them has. In the Midwest, they're starting to reject this nonsense. They're rejecting it. They definitely rejected it in Ohio, but they're starting to see it in Michigan and Wisconsin. And they're looking at their neighbors over in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Chicago and going, oh, we do not want to end up like them. There's been an adage that I've been saying for a while that Democrats can't govern, and it's often because they cater to rich white liberals. Well, oddly enough, wealthy white people have been leaving these Democrat states and they've been fleeing to Florida, and they love life. They love it even more than Florida loves hurricanes. And the reality is, Ron DeSantis has galvanized that entire state from being one of the hardest states to flip back and forth as a swing state to one of the most important in the Republican coalition. Texas is doing something similar as they're reaching out to Latino voters and reminding them, hey, you own property, you don't want to be taxed on that too much, don't vote for Democrats, they'll raise your taxes. And it's a winning message every single time. And it gets even better when you realize that not only is DeSantis great at galvanizing Florida voters, although, I'm blanking on his name, the bald dude, not Johnny Crist? Oh man, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. But there was a Republican senator and governor of Florida that was doing a fantastic job. No, not Jeb Bush. Please clap. Again, we're in a better era of Republicans who don't stand for this nonsense. But Ron DeSantis is also putting his money where his mouth is. And I'm not trying to be a mouthpiece for DeSantis. I'll talk about that in a moment. But he's putting his money where his mouth is. The other prosecutor DeSantis suspended was Tampa Chief Prosecutor Andrew Warren in 2022. DeSantis removed Warren for his pledge not to pursue charges under the new state laws criminalizing abortion and gender transition treatments, as well as policies not to prosecute some low-level crimes. In other words, if you do not uphold the Constitution you swore, whether to the federal government or to your state government, if you don't uphold the laws and do your job, you are on notice and will receive a pink slip if job performance doesn't improve. Thank you. Thank you, Ron. This ain't a meatball here. This ain't meatball Ron. This is how you are supposed to govern your state, and Republicans are starting to take notice. Now, I've got to go on a mild caveat. I am not trying to be a mouthpiece for Ron DeSantis. Unfortunately for him, he decided to primary Trump in 2024, and I think that destroyed his career for the future. He had a great shot in 2028. But he's not going to get there now. There are other rising stars, and his rose too quickly. But I do not want to discount that from the job that he's doing now and for the future that he's helped create for the state of Florida. That is a good state to live in, even though the insurance prices are rising, and that's becoming rather problematic. But that's a deal more with development. That's a deal that Republicans are trying to deal with right now. Ron DeSantis, however, is fighting a war against the insipid and insane policies of leftists that want to trans your kids, that care more about the rights of a tiny few, and by rights, I really mean giving them a larger platform because they are already equal under the law. This is insane, and this is the difference between the right wing that gets a little too deep into the weeds, let's put it that way, versus the left who have just lost their minds. They're so open-minded that their brains have just oozed out. That's the reality. That's the difference between the right and the left here in America, and we're seeing that in real time. Ron DeSantis is not taking any of this nonsense lying down. He is reminding folks that, hey, I'm the governor. This is our law. If you can't uphold it, you're going to go. This is how Republicans need to be acting across the entirety of the United States. Kristi Noem has done a good job. Glenn Youngkin has done his best, given that the legislator is against him, which is unfortunate. I feel very sorry for the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's a beautiful state, and it's constantly getting ruined by people up in Fairfax County and Loudoun County. The Novans are just awful. They're terrible to deal with. I'm not talking about Alexandria. Alexandria is awesome. But the reality is, folks, Leftists cannot govern. Democrats have embraced the left, and they have no choice but to go even farther. That's why Mandami is chasing strays here. But Ron DeSantis has helped change the paradigm of Florida, and he also represents another paradigm that has been shifting, that he's not allowing these ridiculous, annoying, know-nothing hecklers to move him off his spot. In this entire speech, twice he has to deal with this heckler and just say, dude, what are you doing? It's the bless your heart movement of Florida, because technically Florida's not that southern. It's weird. The further south you go in Florida, the less south you become. But the reality is, he is part of a paradigm shift, and he's showing how you're supposed to govern. This man has been a fantastic governor, perhaps the best in the union, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have it good.